Welcome back to Comic Shop Talk. I'm going to talk a little bit about dollar bin diving and what we put in our dollar bins. But first I want to explain something that maybe people were curious about on some of the information on some of my earlier videos. To give some context is that the videos were shot for another channel, which we were on for 40 videos, over 2 years. So some of the videos are 2 years or even a little bit older. Hopefully a lot of that information is evergreen. The kickback has been they are enjoying the content, but some of it is old. One of the old parts is when I talk about TC Comics going on TCG Player. I have a video probably coming up on how to put comics up on TCG Player. We probably won't put that up because eBay bought TCG Player and then they canceled their comics section. And they were going to do sports cards also, and they canceled that. So it is still just trading card games, and that you can sell through them. That's the only thing you can do now. So I have started to put some stuff up on our Shopify store, which is attached to the channel. You'll see some stuff in the bottom. We'd appreciate it if you see anything in there that you'd like. We just recently put Spawn #1 signed by the writer up there for what we think is a pretty fair price, since the announcement at San Diego Comic-Con was that the Spawn movie is going to be called King Spawn. I know there's a lot out there, but there isn't a tremendous amount of ones signed by the writer. That being said, let's get right into about dollar bins. So how we do our dollar bins. Well, this is attached to our intake that we just had up not too long ago, which is a very popular video. When I do the collection, I separate the books that are going to go into the dollar bin, and what I wanted to do is show you some of the stuff. I just randomly picked some stuff out of the dollar bin to show you what we put in there and what our philosophy is on it. So first of all, a lot of independents go in our dollar bins. Really good condition. These are low print books, ElfQuest. ElfQuest has a rabid following. If you're an ElfQuest fan and you hit our dollar bins, you're going to score big, because I took in a collection not too long ago that had a very massive run. You can get stuff that's a modern book from 13, 14 years ago, which is from the New 52, Red Lanterns. Like number 8, I try to pull all keys to put in my regular back bins. Doesn't always happen. This is not a key, I don't believe. But if it is, that's a home run for somebody. I've said this before in many of our other conversations about comic books and dollar bins. My philosophy is that $3 and $5 keys a lot of times don't sell for more than $2 or $1. So if it's a $3 key, it'll go in the dollar bin. I don't think it's a mint book, then it'll go in our 50-cent bin, or it'll go in the dollar bin if it's like a $5 key and it has a divot on the cover or a stress, not an actual spine tick, but a stress mark. Here's a key that I constantly put in the dollar bins. This is the first appearance of Superboy, the Connor version, after the death of Superman, the reign of Superman. I probably have the entire run except for maybe 75 in the dollar bins. Steel will be in there, and then the Cyborg Superman, but there was a lot of books crossed over into this. Now, this one actually has a little hoo-ha up in the top. That might have got it from sitting in the dollar bins without a bag and a board. That's another thing. People are like, oh, why don't you bag and board them? I'm like, that's adding another 15 cents. I have a lot of guys that when I post that I've received a collection, they're in to dig the dollar bins the next day, because they know that night I've pulled out all the dollar books and stuck them over there. So they want to get first shot at them. And then there are going to be a lot of stuff like this early 90s keys that super overprinted, I'll have in the dollar bin. They just don't move fast enough out of the back bins, because they're so easy to find. Dollar bin's the spot for them. I move a lot of them. I take them to conventions. Conventions, I'll even, usually when I go to a convention, my dollar bins become $2 bins. You can get them for $1 if you buy 100, right? I give you 50% off if you buy 100 books. So I'm selling my dollar books for $1, but I want them to take a lot because I want to carry home as little as possible. Funny thing is I sell a lot of the dollar books that I took from my store at conventions for $2. And the reason I moved the price up is because a lot of the other dealers all had $2 bins instead of dollar bins. So I kind of just matched my competition, but gave the ability to get them for $1 anyway, as long as you purchased a lot of books. If you're a person that's looking for covers, this is not a particularly sought after cover or anything, but in the style from like some of the independent books that have good girl art. Like I said, I just went in and grabbed a few books really quickly to go through them. This is Zenescope. Zenescope has a lot of good girl art. I have a lot of it in my dollar bins. I get a lot of them from conventions where I buy long boxes. So you can find this in the dollar bin and stuff like this from Zenescope. And if you're a person that's looking for covers, great place to dig and get books. And then you have, just like The Price is Right, not The Price is Right, it's the one with the zonks. Anyway, that game show. The one is it behind door number 1 or door number 2? No, that show, which I can't remember the name of. But yeah, so I also put like Amazing Man. But if you're looking for some comics for your kids to read and stuff, I have a lot of like young adult stuff and children's stuff. Listen, and I'm not dogging anybody's taste. If like you grew up with this and he's your favorite character, awesome. Get him from the dollar bin. I got him in there. This is like a number 10 Amazing Man. It's a goofy, funny book from DC. This also is not in fantastic condition. In a little less condition, if this was a little worse, it would be in the 50-cent bin. So this is the kind of similar stuff to the 50-cent bin I have. Now, this book was hot for a little while. This is an image book. I have a lot of image books in there. This is On the Stump. When this first came out, this had a little bit of heat. It has since long been out of the news cycles. I don't really follow that stuff too much. I do a little bit because I don't want people making money. They can make a little bit of money, but I don't want them making the majority of the profit from me. So when a book gets hot, I do try to pull them. But if they're pulling it out of the dollar bin, I don't go, oh, that's not supposed to be in there. If you really found it in my dollar bin and it's a hot book, like that Exiles book, I know I had the entire run of Exiles in my dollar bins. That was a long time ago, so I don't know if it's still in there, but the Iron Man book just took off. I don't have the time to go back through my dollar bin and pull them out. So if somebody gets a $50 book out of my dollar bin, you're a better man than me. It's fine. I was only expecting to get $1 from it, so I got my $1 and I'm happy. Well, I'm not exactly happy. There's a little seller remorse, but I won't ever if somebody finds in the dollar bin, they get it for the $1. I can't preach integrity and then not have it, right? So, yeah. But I never read this book, but like I said, there was some heat to it. It is a good looking book. It seems like it's not only got some good superhero stuff in it, but some comedy. So, yeah, On the Stump. And then we got a lot of like copper, late bronze, early copper. This I think is probably copper age, but a ton of Captain Americas. For whatever reason, like there is a lot of Captain America that now, because the multiple movies and the new movie, we don't know who the bad guys are yet. So there's a lot of speculation on, so there's a little bit of heat on some of the Captain Americas. I don't think it's going to be MODOK. He's already showed up, so he's not in it. But there's a lot of books like this Captain America in the Captain America run in my dollar bins. So if you're trying to make a run, it's another great place to look is dollar bins for filling out a run. This book has taken some beating in the dollar bins. It's probably been there a while. So what I do is I do go through my dollar bins from time to time and pull out books that need to go to the 50-cent bin. So there is a tear up at the top here. And so that will probably be moving over to my 50-cent bin. Like I said, I didn't really take time to go through each and every book when I was pulling them out. I just grabbed in, because I also wanted it to be a true representation of what's in my dollar bins. I didn't want to pick out like the 10 best books in the dollar bin and then like show them to everybody. Everybody go, oh, I gotta go. Most of you don't live anywhere near me to go through my dollar bins. I just, as a comic shop owner, passing it on to other comic shop owners, and then to people who are collectors who may shy away from the dollar bins because they're not alphabetized. It can be worth your while to dig through the dollar bins. I was always a dollar bin. Actually, when I was younger, it was never a dollar bin. It's 10 cent, 50 cent, 25 cent bins. There was a place in New Paltz, the original October Country, and he had a basement of maybe 200 long boxes, 25 cent a book. If you bought 100, you get them for $15. So 15 cents a book. Then if you bought them on Sunday, they were half price. So $7.50 for 100 books, 7.5 cents a book. I would regularly buy like 600 books out of there. And that's kind of why I ended up having a store, because my wife was like, what are you going to do with all these books? I'm like, I couldn't pass it. It's 7.5 cents a book. And there was like Bronze Age Moon Knights, and you know, there was a lot of books that were really well written, but were not well received. Brian K. Vaughan's book with all the young guys, that actually was a television show, Runaways. That originally wasn't received that well, and it ended up in a lot of 50-cent dollar bins, 25-cent bins. I was able to get the whole run out of that for 7.5 cents a book. So inflation, it's now $1 a book. I kind of took that model of having, I wish I could put out 200 long boxes. I don't really have space for that. Maybe in the future. I would love to have 200 long boxes of dollar books, and then have this kind of books in it. I know I saw a Punisher, I just grabbed it, and it just happens to be a super minor key, but it is the origin of Microchip, who then gets killed, I think, in the next issue or the issue after this. A lot of Punisher books. In this original run, maybe there's probably 100 and some odd books, 120 some odd books of the Punisher in the first run, and maybe there's 20 key issues. So if you're making the run, dig those dollar bins, because they are out there. And this like has a little minor boo-boo on the bottom, but it doesn't break color, so it'll probably get pressed if you're somebody that thinks they can make money on it. But if you're looking to read it, it's graded $1. So that in whole is kind of my dollar bin theory. I'm a volume guy. I want to sell a massive amount of books a week. You know, some places they're selling their wall, but their wall is all graded and each book's $1,000. And if they sell 3 of those books in a week, you know, it makes their comic week. I'd rather sell 3,000 books. You know, I don't do $1,000 of books yet, but I want to get there. We're probably close. We probably sell 500 to 800 books. Vast majority of them are back issues. And the vast majority of those are $1.50 bin. But, you know, it all adds up. Volume is kind of my business model, along with margins. I like large margins because it helps to pay for the new stuff, sealed products, and new comics that the margins aren't as good in. If you're digging through a dollar bin, please, the integrity I preach for myself, I also preach for everybody else. Please don't mix in books that aren't dollar bin books with your dollar bin purchase. It's wrong. I mean, I've probably had, in the 10 years, over $3,000 worth of books stolen through my dollar bins, where they take it out of. That's why I don't bag and board. I mean, I don't price my back issues. I do bag and board probably 90% of them, but I don't price them, because it's just telling somebody, oh, this is an expensive book, you should steal. So, like I said, I've found the ones that I used to price. I've found the empty ones throughout the store, in other boxes stuck in the back, where people felt that they deserved the $20 or $50 book for $1. I hope they choke on it. Yeah, that's kind of my little PSA out to the folks is please have integrity, be honest. You know, if you need $20 that bad, come ask me. I'd probably give it to you. Rather than have you sell the book and you try to make a profit on somebody else, that somebody else is not going to get that book at an affordable price. Yeah, just my philosophy. Thanks for all the new subscribers. Welcome aboard. I mean, we're up over 2,500. I'm real passionate about this hobby. You know, if you're ever in Port Jervis, we got a nice hotel going up, a little boutique hotel. So if you ever want to take a little vacation to see a comic book shop, come on in. I'm going to be retired at the end of September. So when I say retire, I mean, I've had another job for the last 27 years, full-time gig. Kind of one of the reasons why I can live through the ups and downs of the comic shop and not take a salary and still be happy to be here every day, or the days that I am here. Now that I've gotten a little bit older, I've needed to get extra sleep because I work the midnights. I'm a supervisor at a 911 center in Orange County, New York. I've done that for 27 years, and it is coming to an end. So yeah, come by and see me, and we'll talk comics. That's if DC doesn't hire me to run the show. I'm gonna do a video about the stuff from San Diego Comic-Con that came out and my take on a lot of that stuff. It's a little late because, you know, I got a life. Stick around for that. Come visit us. We can come sit and talk comics for 4 or 5 hours. Your favorite stuff, my favorite stuff, our favorite artists, our favorite writers. Or message me. You can DM me. I'm on Instagram. You can send me a message through YouTube. You know that I try to answer absolutely everybody, especially if it's a question. You know the word. Keep reading comics and open a comic shop.